Welcome, everybody. We have a podcast for you today that we have waited a long time to do.
Yes.
We have a very special guest, Carter Lee Camacho. Welcome to the Jer and Gel podcast, everyone. Today we're diving into a deeply personal conversation with a very special guest, our 15-year-old son, Carter Camacho.
As a teenager navigating the complexities of life, Carter has faced his fair share of challenges, from divorce and loss to blending families and finding his own identity.
With a stepfather in the picture, that's me, Jer, and a biological father who plays an important role, Carter's journey is unique and inspiring.
In this candid Q&A session, we'll dive into topics that resonate with many teenagers today, from the dynamics of being in a blended family to grappling with faith and beliefs in school. Carter will share his insights and experiences.
We'll also explore the pressures of adolescence, from sex, peer pressure, to the pursuit of becoming a young man.
So join us as we embark on this heartfelt conversation, gaining valuable perspectives from a remarkable young man who's navigating life's twists and turns with courage and resilience. Let's dive in.
Let's go! Yeah! Yeah, Carter Camacho! Bam, bam, bam.
All right, Carter. Well, you had no idea the topics we'll be talking about today, and you just got to hear our intro. What do you think?
How long did it take you guys to do that?
Like 2 hours.
Actually?
Just to set this whole thing up, it took 2 hours, yeah.
Yep.
So, Carter, I got a question for you. Do you pee in the shower?
Oh my gosh. Why are
Yeah.
you asking everybody that?
Do you aim in the hole, or do you let it just go wherever?
Just like near the hole, I would say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just
Cool.
Do you?
Why are you asking this
Yeah.
question? You do this every time.
Sometimes, because it's an icebreaker. It breaks.
I feel like that's just
Yeah,
a normal
Peeing
thing
in
that
the
guys do.
stupid question.
shower. Peeing in the shower is an icebreaker.
It takes the focus. Is now the time to explain this?
No.
Of how? Okay, thank you. Awesome. Well, what we've done is we've put some questions out. I've got some questions for you, and I've got some questions for your mom, and we're gonna ask those questions. So here's the thing: we want you to be as truthful, as open, as transparent as possible. Can you do that? Can you
And
commit to that?
genuine.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't hold back. son.
So, have you been waiting to be on the podcast? Did you think that time was going to come soon?
I didn't think it was coming anytime soon.
You've been asking to be
but
on it.
I have been
Yeah.
asking for some time.
No.
Sounds good though, yeah.
Cool. Well, baby, you want to start off with the first question? Number 3. What role does... Okay, so this is for you, Carter.
Okay.
And you want to answer this as open and clear as possible, right? So what role does faith play in your life as a teenager, especially when it comes to navigating challenges, making decisions at school, or in social settings? Do you know what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to start with the first one? How does your faith play a role as a teenager?
Faith.
What is faith to you?
Faith is believing in something that you believe in, and kind of like faith. Like something that you believe in yourself, right? But like sometimes it like you don't really like see it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? For example, like God, you don't like see him in person. Sometimes he talks to you in different ways. I feel like faith is kind of like you believe in that thing, but sometimes you don't really see it. Faith is like just believing.
And something you cannot see.
Yeah, something that you cannot see.
You have faith? Do you walk in faith? Do you act out your faith?
I try to.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
How do I try?
As a teenager at school, how do you act out on your faith?
Definitely spreading it. Definitely to like certain people, like my friends, I would say. I don't have too many friends I hang out with. I probably hang out with like one person right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try spreading it to them, but it's hard sometimes.
You talk to them about Jesus, or what do you do?
Yeah, I talked to him about Jesus and stuff that he said that are biblically said in the Bible.
And how has that been going?
We just argue about it like the whole time.
You debate about it?
A lot of people don't have the same beliefs, huh?
Not a
You
lot.
find that out.
He believes in God, but he doesn't. I don't think he really goes to church as much.
But I think that's a big thing is a lot of people can say they believe in God, and a lot of people do believe in God, but what is God to that person? Because that I can say, I believe in God, and then I can ask your mom, do you believe in God?
Yes.
She believes in God, but my perception of God or my view of God can be completely different than what your view would be.
Yeah, everybody has a different perspective.
Because a lot of times you hear that people say, well, God is everything. God is the earth. God is this. God is that. God is the universe. Right? And you've heard that, I'm sure, a lot. But
Spread good vibes.
that's where it comes down to, okay, are you a believer? Well, a believer in what? Do you believe in God? Well, what does that mean? You know, there's a much deeper question behind that, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
If you don't believe in something, you'll believe anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, though. That's good. I like that.
And like walking in faith, like at school, you said, is like believing in what you believe, not what like others saying, like not being a follower.
Has that been a struggle for you,
No, not really.
walking in faith at school?
No, I kind of just do your own thing. I feel like I just do your own thing. Everyone hangs out with their friends. Everybody has their own groups. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like you could do better?
Yeah, most definitely.
In what areas?
Definitely with like profanity, what I feed into in the school.
You cuss at school, son?
I wouldn't say I cuss a lot. I don't cuss a lot. I used to a lot, but I really have cut down on profanity.
Do you feel that's because of peer pressure, or do you feel it's because everyone else does it, so you think you need to do it?
You want to blend in?
I don't think it's just like with everybody. I don't think it's because you want to blend in or just want to be like, it's just like a thing that I feel like everybody has just done. You know what I mean? Everybody just does it.
Yeah.
It's not even that just blending in. It's just it's just a thing that everybody just does, I feel like.
Everybody's having sex too. Are you doing that?
No.
Okay, thank you. I mean, just because everybody's doing something doesn't mean that you have to do it.
Yeah. I think you've experienced some things from dating, right, early,
Yeah.
and having a girlfriend or a couple two girlfriends, and experiencing like heartfelt love or heartfelt emotions. I don't know if I say love the whole time, but heartfelt emotions to where you're feeling good and then you're not feeling so good because they treat you a certain way or things aren't going right? Correct?
Yeah.
But even that, your faith plays into.
Most
Because you, at that time, you came to us, and I remember him coming, sitting on the couch and saying, Mom, I don't think I'm supposed to be in a relationship. I
You're
don't want
not.
to do this.
Yeah.
And we told you it was too early.
But that was mature on your end,
It was.
sharing that because of the fact that you realized that. So,
Recognizing and being aware of where you're at is a step towards maturity. So we were really proud of you in that moment when you said, dating's not for me right now. I'm going to wait.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's the goal.
How do you feel as far as that in dating stuff? Do you feel like, because a lot of your friends have girlfriends and stuff now, right?
I would
Or
say
some of them?
Some of them.
Not all of them?
No.
So that's still not something that you desire or that you've been trying to think oh, there's someone that I like and I want to move that way?
No, not at all.
That's cool.
Okay. So tell me, how do you view relationships and intimacy as a teenager? Considering your influence of friends, media,
Intimacy.
and your personal beliefs. So how do you view relationships now? Like, what do you think about relationships and intimacy? What's your perspective?
I think at this age, it's not like entirely bad, but I feel like right now, I don't think it's like
It's your iPad.
I just feel like it's not the time right now. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people could withstand it right now. I would feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But intimacy, I feel like too young. A lot of stuff like that. You know what I mean? I look at TikTok and I see a lot of that. You know what I mean? Like physical touch and stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but it's just like a lot of that stuff can go too far. I feel like at this age.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I've had my intimacy moments,
Mm-hmm.
but I realize how I felt at that moment. You know what I mean? So I feel like at this age, it's just not it right now.
It's not your focus.
Yeah, it's not my main focus at all.
What is your focus?
Main focus, definitely trying to do good in school and trying to get closer to God for sure. Trying.
Well, I think
That's
that's a step for everybody. It's always a challenge, and that's always something to constantly move towards. Because even in my walk now, that's something I'm working on doing, is getting closer to God, having more of a relationship with Him, allowing Him to flow through my life more when I had stepped back for a while and wasn't serving God like I should have. So that's
Yeah.
good. We all do that.
How do you feel about having both a biological father and a stepfather in your life? And how do you navigate your relationships with both of them?
I would say both of the relationships are different.
Yeah.
Because bio, stepdad. I like having a stepdad. It's cool. I mean, I like as long as my mom's happy too. You know what I mean? Brings her joy, makes her more happy. And with my biological dad, it's just different. You know what I mean? But
Can you explain what you mean by different?
different because it's bio and I stay 1 week with you guys, 1 week with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say like, also because he works graveyard shifts, I feel like it's different because he sleeps during the day. But but when I go on his weeks, he tries not to sleep as much so he can hang out with me.
Yeah.
But when I come here, it's nice. I mean, I don't really see no change in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I like having a stepdad and biological dad. I mean, it's fun, it's cool. I get to see different point of views and certain things, I feel like. Definitely with like girls, I would say like.
Mm-hmm.
And like school
Getting
and everything.
different advice from each of them.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
So if you're getting different advice, which one do you go with?
I'm not too sure on that. Different advice. I feel like I would see which one I feel like I can take in the most and what I could feed off of, and really just like, cause an opinion, when I get an opinion from someone or advice, I feel like I think about it a lot. Like I think about
You
it
do.
a lot.
Good.
So
That's not a bad thing.
yeah, when I take in that advice, I think about it a lot. So when I think about that, I try to come up with like scenarios in my head, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
and see which one I think plays out the best way, or the one that I like, or, you know what I mean? Or just even just taking the advice and just not really making an action about it.
Do you ever pray about it? Because if you don't feel at peace about a decision or advice that was given, then it's not from God. God will provide that peace that you need to go forward with a decision or advice.
With that like advice and getting stuff, I don't really pray about that because I don't like, I hear what you say, like you always tell me pray about it, say what God, like just see what God tells you or something. I've tried that, but I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, and I feel like I don't really hear anything.
Why do you find that difficult to pray about a decision? Like, Like, for instance, you might be deciding what to do after high school, right? College or military or whatever your choices are. Wouldn't you want to pray about a big decision like that and go towards the direction that God is leading you? Or just make a decision on a whim and on your own?
I would love to get advice from God, but I don't know where to start.
You just talk to him and pray and ask him for guidance. And
When you think about hearing from God, are you thinking of it like as an audible voice, like you hear my voice and your mom's voice, right? Something that you hear. So a lot of times God doesn't speak in those ways. A lot of times it could be, I mean, there's times he's spoken to me through a song.
and we've discussed this before.
But in a lot of times when you're making a decision, either you're going to be uncomfortable about it or you're going to have peace about it.
Yeah.
And those are ways that God speaks to you as well. Some people will just be like, oh, well, that's just my own feeling. Well, no, because God gives you peace. The only person that gives you peace is God.
And
Peace does not come from anyone else.
So Jesus also talks to us in a still voice. He's not going to be loud. You're not going to hear his voice.
It's not going to be forceful.
He might put a thought in your head, because our thoughts come from God. So he can speak to you through a song on the radio. He's done that before with me. He can speak to you by sending a stranger and them talking to you about exactly what you needed to hear.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about praying for guidance or advice from God or in a decision that you're trying to make, that's what you do. Is you just talk to him like he's he's in front of you. You talk to him like you would talk to me or Jeremy, and you wait and you be still and wait for him to bring you peace or clarity. That's how you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a mean jelly bean. So with everything so you've experienced a lot. You've experienced a lot from, being raised in the family with your mom and your dad, being raised in that for a while, but you probably don't remember those days. And then your mom and dad got a divorce, and then there was a separation, and I'm sure you remember those times and some stuff like that.
Then
your mom was single for quite a while, and then she got remarried, and then, of course, Chris passed away, which was your stepdad at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he passed away, she was single again for a while. And then I came in the picture. Do you ever go back and think about like that whole transition, how that happened? How did it affect you? How has it been through your experience, in your view, in with everything that's happened from beginning to
now,
from what you remember?
Well, I do remember like certain moments when I was younger between my biological dad and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I still see my biological dad often.
Yeah.
And
every other week.
yeah. But when we were younger, a lot of arguments. I mostly just remember arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a lot of arguments. And then after that, remember their divorce. I was like 5, 6. I was like 5. And then I do remember them like hanging out on and off a couple of times. And then after that, we moved into a couple apartments, both of my parents. After all that, school wasn't really hard at the time during all that, especially in elementary. I mean, I didn't really mind it, you know what I mean? But until I got home and stuff, I would think about it, and sometimes I'd be like, why aren't they together and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Until I know the real reason, until I found out in, like 2 months ago maybe.
No, it was middle school.
No.
Yeah, we told you in middle school.
No, I was a freshman. I remember we were at. Oh yeah, you're right. I was in middle school. You're right. I do remember. I was getting baseball stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that. But school wasn't hard at that time. I mean, when my mom started talking to Chris, it was a little iffy at start. I remember Chris. He was really strict on me. You know what I mean? And I do thank him that for now. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do thank him for being really hard on me because he really was. And wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't really like him at first. I remember that, telling my mom that a lot. And towards the end, really started liking him because he was hard on me sometimes. And I would realize, like, the good moments we had. And I started getting closer to him.
Yeah.
And he would train with me. And he was my football coach, too, on my AFL team.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. But he was harder on me during football practice a lot sometimes. I mean, we go practice at the football field, and he would work with me. I remember we lived out at my nana's, me and my mom, and they were dating, and me and my mom were in bed, and I was like, when is Chris gonna propose? Because that had been like 3 years? No. 2? Like 2?
About two
We
and a
dated
half
for
years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, like
before.
2.5 years, and we were in bed. I was like, when is Chris gonna propose? The next day he
What?
proposed. The next day he proposed.
What?
I didn't even know. My mom didn't know.
I had a feeling.
I got a feeling.
Because of me. But
No. They didn't tell you because you're a blabbermouth.
Because of me.
And you would have told me. You would have spilled the beans. That's why you didn't know.
True.
yeah, I probably would have, honestly.
He can't. He has this like look. He can't keep anything.
Yeah, but yeah, I do thank him
Especially
a lot for
then.
those hard times. A lot of times he was really strict on me. You know?
Was that a hard transition for you, going from your parents getting divorced and then me being single for 3 years, and then having Chris in our life? How was that transition for you?
A transition. It wasn't bad because after those years, I kind of just felt like fine because you weren't really talking to somebody at that time. And then until you started talking to Chris, I was just like, because you started hanging out with him a lot. And I'd be at Nana's, just me and Nana and David, and I would miss you a lot. But I did see, like, you happier, I feel like. You know what I mean? And getting closer to God for sure. Because I feel like he really did help you with that. And he helped you with that from where you are now, I feel like, a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like he did help you with that a lot, I feel like. And then you started feeding me a little bit. And that was when we started going to church really often. We still do, but I do have a lot of practice with sports and stuff right now. So it's pretty hard to go sometimes.
Yeah, but we put church before sports on our weeks.
Now we do.
On your dad's weeks, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when typically a lot of times when you have a new parent come in or a stepfather come in, a lot of times that brings a lot of uncomfort, a lot of chaos. Sometimes they're like you don't get along and stuff. And I know a lot of times, like in experiences, like some step parents will come in and try to like be the father, and that's of course completely wrong, and you should never do that. I love the fact that your dad plays a huge role in your life, that he is your dad, that he is a parent involved, that he works with you and your mom, he works with you on things, that he's always present and stuff.
Really
I think it's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
And that makes things a lot easier for like our roles as husband and wife, and our role is, you know, you being my stepson and me being your stepdad and stuff. But it's nice when everyone can work together to support you, basically is what we're doing. You know, I work with your mom to support you, to make sure that you're rising up to be a good man. We work with your dad to work with you to make sure that you're rising up to be a good man. And, you know, I think you're doing a good job. I think you are very observant around what happens with you and what's happening in life. And I think you share a lot of that stuff, which is very, very cool. And of course, we always have things that we can work on and be better, and
Yes, no one is
things,
perfect.
Yep.
Well,
but you're close to perfect, Carter. So
I remember. Don't feed his ego. I remember when I started dating Chris, you were like, you would tell me, or when we got married and moved in together, you would tell me, you love him more than you love me.
I do that now.
You still do that now, even with Jeremy. You think I love them more than I love you. You've always thought that, but you've never said that about your dad, just about the husbands after your dad.
Because I feel like with my dad, between Chris and Jeremy, you had a different type of relationship with my dad than with Chris and Jeremy. Because I feel like
Well,
I didn't.
yeah,
I feel
all
like
relationships are
I
different.
feel like I couldn't see how you really acted with my dad, right?
Because you were young. You were
yeah,
little.
and I feel like you're so much more mature, such as dad. You guys are more mature, where you guys have more responsibility, and like I feel like you guys would act different. You know what I mean? But with Chris and Jeremy, I feel like you act different as well, right? Especially with Jeremy, you act different a lot with Jeremy.
What do you mean I act different
Like
with
you
Jeremy?
and Jeremy are like a funny couple. Like, they never argue, like ever. Never
yeah,
seen them
right.
argue once.
You should have recorded the beginning of this
before
podcast.
we started this podcast?
No, but that was your fault.
Okay, first of all, we weren't
Thank you.
arguing.
Can you say that again in the microphone, just a
No.
little clearer?
No, we
Whose
were
fault was
not
that?
even arguing before this podcast, so that doesn't even count.
No.
That's not an argument.
We rarely-
You know what
we
an
never
argument
argue,
sounds
so.
like.
Yeah, they've never really argued.
So we're a funny couple.
Yeah, you guys are very outgoing, I would say, like, you know what I mean?
Goofy and silly,
Yes, very.
especially Jeremy.
Yeah, especially Jeremy.
Wow. You just called me goofy.
But every relationship is different. You cannot have the same relationship with every
No.
person you are with.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, yeah.
And people bring things out of you, right? Like your dad brought something out of me, Chris brought something different out of
Yeah.
me, and Jeremy brings something different out of me. So it's not that I wasn't like that with them or didn't have that trait. It's that it just was never nurtured, they never nurtured that, and it didn't come out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I look at my life now, where I'm at, how our family operates, and just how everything is, man, this is a life that I've always hoped for. This is a relationship that I've always hoped for but never had. The way everything functions in our relationship always seems to work. Like me and your mom get along. We have a good relationship where we can talk about things and we share things. You and I get along,
Yeah.
where you and I can connect on some things, and there's things that we like to do together and enjoy doing that we should be doing more often. We haven't been able to. The fact that, with your dad, I respect your dad. I love your dad. I think he's an awesome man. And now that we get to work together as one family, we're, just like at the body of the Christ, the body of the Christ, like the body of Christ, he has working parts, right? In the church is a body. You have a hand, you have legs, you have arms. I think that's how we work as a family. Like, we all have different roles and different ways to work, but I just think that it's awesome that everything works so well, and I love the fact that that happens.
I agree.
So,
Yeah, my dad and my mom, my biological dad and my mom, they're really good at communicating now.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was a little bit younger and we had to switch and stuff, right?
In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, they were pretty bad. Every conversation, they're on speakerphone. They're yelling, and then they start talking in Spanish, so I don't hear the stuff that they say.
and
And
that's
then,
normal.
yeah.
Whenever you go through a divorce, and especially in the beginning, the first year or two, sometimes, gosh, it's just,
Yeah, it was pretty
it's
bad.
so
at
hard.
It was like the first
Because
three.
Yeah.
you're
no,
trying to separate but then because you're involved, there's so many disagreements, and I don't like the way you do things. And I don't like the way you do things. And then
That's how it was.
I don't like who you're hanging around with. Well, I don't like who you're hanging around with. I mean, it could be so many
or
different
not
things.
introducing, not
Yeah.
letting me know you're dating someone new and introducing them to Carter, or like if there's going to be someone involved in your life, I need to know about it.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that you probably don't even remember, don't see because you were so young. But we are in a good place now, and I am grateful for that.
Yeah, I agreed.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't heard you and Manny have a disagreement in quite a while. Like I think when we first started dating,
Yeah.
no, when we first got married, a little bit after, there was something that had happened where you and him didn't agree on something. But
think
I mean, it was over quick. It was like
I
you
think
guys
it
were-
was him not letting me know about a schedule change or something like that.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you guys, the nice thing is you guys don't dwell on that, and it's not things that
No.
continue. It's not like in the middle of Carter. Like the good thing about it too is you're old enough to make decisions on things that you agree and disagree on, or like or don't like and stuff. So that makes a big
Yeah.
difference. So
Yeah.
I have a question for your mom.
Oh no.
So Jal, how do you feel Carter is doing growing up as a young man? What things most concern you about what direction he is taking in life?
I think Carter is actually becoming a great young man. And I get lots of compliments. I don't know why, but I get lots of compliments from people like my friends and even just acquaintances. And they say that he is a very nice, polite young man, well-mannered,
Very respectful.
very respectful. I mean, he says hi to strangers in the room where other teenagers would just sit there and not even say hi, not even acknowledge them,
Yeah.
but he'll go and shake your hand. So I think that is a great quality to have. Pretty sure you get that from your dad.
Yeah.
Makes eye contact. Shakes
yeah.
good.
And then, I think his faith was a little bit rocky not too long ago, because there was a time where he questioned God and questioned even believing in him, and he was just struggling. And so, and he's been in church his whole life. Like I would say we started going to church probably when you were like
Like
3.
Yeah.
3. So pretty much your whole life, right? And you got baptized last year. I was really proud of you for making that decision on your own. But then not too long ago, a few months ago, you were questioning your beliefs, like what's the point and all this. And so I was feeling a little bit disappointed, but also a little bit concerned. But I just stayed faithful, and I prayed, and I anointed your room with oil and prayed all over your room. Yes, I did that when you were gone. And I do that for the whole house, though. Yeah. And so I just kept praying and praying that God would guide you and show you the path that you should be on. And now you're back. Like you even said, I don't want to go to Legacy anymore. I don't want to go to church, right? You stopped serving. You just didn't feel like going. But if you live in this house, you have to go.
Yeah, I kind of stopped going to serve for all kids. I wouldn't say I regret it, because I know we shouldn't regret things. But I feel like I should have stayed, because I feel like I could have managed that. And football, most of the time I wouldn't go because of football. But when I didn't have it, I just didn't really want to go, honestly. But now I see like how much it plays a role in your life. I talk highly about God, especially at school to my friends, but a lot of times I feel like I don't represent that at my household. You know what I mean? And I want to get more into the Bible, but there's just, I don't know what it is.
We all fall short because we're not perfect, and every day is a new day to start over. And now with football season coming back, this summer already? Like
Well, I have been
Yeah.
thinking about
July.
if I do want to play football. I don't know.
But if you do, it doesn't matter any sport that you're playing. Wednesdays and Sundays, we have church. So if you have practice on Wednesday, you should be missing practice so that you can go to church. And I know a lot of coaches frown upon that. A lot of coaches don't like that. But your faith and your walk with God comes first, and God will reward you for that.
Yeah.
They're not going to reward you for going to practice every day. God will see your heart. God will see that you put him first, and he will reward you. That is what your focus should be on. And I think a lot of Christian student athletes don't realize that, and they put their sports first when they shouldn't.
Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah.
But hold on.
I think one of the things that while you were gone, your mom had mentioned that, babe, I don't like that Carter's not serving. I don't like that he's not.
When you were in San Antonio last week.
That he's not putting God, as a priority in his life. So I know we had prayed about it, and she had been talking about it, and she had been praying about it. And when you came back,
Well, actually, no. I told you last Sunday at church, I said, I'm going to have a talk with Carter, and he's going to have no choice. He has to serve. If he lives in this house, he has to pick a ministry, and he has to serve in that ministry.
yeah,
We're going to talk to him about it. That's what I said.
I literally mentioned I wanted to serve when I came back too.
I know.
And
so
your
hold
mom was
on.
all
So we
excited.
didn't even have to have that conversation with you because you called us on your way back from San Antonio and you were telling us about your trip and then all of a sudden you're like, and I want to start serving at church again. And I was just, me and Jeremy looked at each other because we were in the car, and Jeremy
we
goes,
didn't say anything.
Jeremy goes, like, praise God. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's a great idea because God put that on your heart.
Yeah,
We didn't make you. I mean, I would have, because that is part of living in this house, is you do what we do, and we serve the Lord, and we go to church, and we serve, and we tithe, and we do all these things. But for God to answer our prayer without us even talking to you about it was beautiful.
I feel like a lot of that comes from TikTok too, because I know TikTok isn't like the best example sometimes, but like a lot of times I do get a lot of like godly TikToks on there, and I like the stuff that they have to say. Like there's a lot of verses on there, and I'll look them up myself.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And I like what it has to say, because it makes me think about like how to take that in myself, and how to like sometimes like abbreviate it to my friends. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You mean you send it to them?
No, like abbreviate
To
it at
share
school,
it.
to share it. Yeah, to
Yeah.
like abbreviate it to them, like share it to them.
What
at
do you mean
school.
you abbreviate it? I don't get that
like
term. Is
like
that
break it down, because I don't know how to because I don't like know it word for word.
Okay, you share it with them.
Yeah, share it with them.
Okay, thank you.
well, that's good. I mean, that shows a lot of growth on your part, and that shows a lot of maturity because of the fact that you're listening. And you said, even earlier, you said, well, I don't know how to hear God's voice. You heard God's voice, because those aren't things that you're just going to think up of on your own. That's something that God uses to speak to you, to speak to your heart, to draw you to him. No one else is going to draw you to him. No one else is going to get you closer to God. And that's God speaking in your life. So that's awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
God plants the desires in our hearts. And that was one of our prayers, is that we ask God to give you the desire to want to serve, to seek you more,
Yeah.
or to seek him more, and to want to be in the word of God. And so, and he did. And honestly, it is hard. You just have to take it one day at a time, and you start small.
But I do want to get a King James Version Bible. I know it's harder, but I feel like the harder stuff you read, because I feel like I'm not saying I'm advanced at reading, but I feel like I know how to read. You know what I mean? Especially like when I read in Spanish.
But
I'm
I
actually
don't
not too
even,
bad.
I don't even like the King James version. That is like, I have the NIV, which is the New International Version, but I have 7 different Bibles. And I even gave you,
I'm going to use the one that Grandma gave you on that one.
that is for display.
We'll get you one. I've been looking, but I haven't found one that's
will
My
gonna
get-
be.
biological's my dad's
His grandma,
Yeah.
my dad's mom.
Yeah.
My dad's mom gave her that Bible actually.
the one that's in the entryway
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
shelf. Yeah.
We'll get you
I
one.
think
There's
you
one
should
that
pass it
we
down
should
to
look
me.
at.
Pass it down to me.
Pretty sure it has my name on it.
But then you write passing down to Carter.
How about this? When I die, it's yours.
You know how long that's gonna
Nice.
take?
Forever, because I'm living to be 100.
Wow.
Why do you want to live to 100? I don't even want to live past maybe 80.
When you get older, you will. You think you're gonna live forever.
mean you don't wanna live
You'll
past
turn
80?
60, 70. You're gonna be like, life has just started.
Hold on. Why don't you want to live past 80?
I feel like that's too long.
Well, the Bible says that we can live up to 120.
Yeah.
You know what people used to like live up to like back in like
Yeah, like 900.
500,
Yeah,
900 years
and
old,
it changed.
1200.
It was like
Now
insane.
it's 120.
I remember when I was reading Genesis because I read Genesis a long time ago, back in 2020 for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
2020. I was reading Genesis and I just see a bunch of these numbers. I'm like just naming these numbers and people. I'm like, what is this? So I go up to Chris and my mom, and they tell me it's like people that they lived up to, like their age.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way, like 900, 1,000, 700.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, that is insane. Like, you know
Well,
what I mean?
people took care of themselves back then. They don't now, so. But if you take
Yeah.
care of yourself now, you eat right, you exercise, you stay active even in your old age, you will live
You
longer.
can still look healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we
Grandpa.
went skiing?
Yeah.
Some of the old people that were up there, and
Yeah,
they looked
man,
like
that
they
was
were 70, 80
insane,
years
yeah.
old, and they were flying down those things. Yeah.
That was pretty
That's
cool,
who we
though.
want to be, that age.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I
That's
want to
pretty
see, I want to meet my grandbabies and my great grandbabies, and I want to pass down all of my skills of making sourdough starter, sourdough bread, all my baking skills, all my canning skills.
This last batch was your best batch, by the way. That one.
Thank you.
It was
Oh,
good.
that one was better than all of them.
It's improving.
Yeah.
But I want to pass this down, right? So I need to live to be 100 minimum.
Do different designs on them too.
I do. I have been. I've been
No, but you do
practicing.
like one main cross in it. I want to
No, that was the first time I've done it.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Never mind then.
Yeah. What are some ways that you found helpful in dealing with the loss of your stepfather, Chris, and adjusting to a new family?
Losing Chris?
Yeah, like what are some ways that you found helpful dealing with that? Or how did you deal with it?
I feel like I dealt with it like all of it on my own.
Why?
Because I feel like the whole family was sad. Grandpa and Grandma, I'd call Chris's parents Grandma and Grandma. Grandpa and Grandma were really sad, you know. I mean, and even as Christopher and Cheyenne, I couldn't explain like how they feel, or I couldn't even feel what they feel, you know what I mean? Losing a dad, like I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. So it was different for you.
Very different. And especially you know what I mean? Like you were deeply sad. You feel like you fell into like depression, I feel like a lot, and you started drinking a lot. I remember those days. I would call Dad on my phone. I'd be like, Dad, Mom's drinking again. I don't even want to deal with this. Like,
What? You would call him?
I would listen to your conversations. Like, I would sit outside your door sometimes.
Oh my
Most of the time,
gosh.
I'd hear you talking to Aunt Julie.
Okay.
But yeah, I would hear you on the talk with Aunt Julie a lot of times, and I would sit out there window and you would drink a lot. I remember you drank like a whole bottle of wine. I was like, that's insane. Like, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
I would hear you a lot, and I'd hear you cry a lot, and I was just like, I'd be like, dang. Sometimes I would even cry, and I would just be in my room, like I wouldn't even know what to do. Like I wouldn't even play nothing. I wouldn't do nothing. I would just lay down and just, I don't know what to do. I don't know. And then you had the dogs with you, so I was like, dang, I can't even have Holly with me.
I thought that I like didn't really show you when I was crying. I thought I did a good job at hiding that.
I'd hear you a lot. I still hear you guys through, like, sometimes when I get late snacks.
What?
Like, sometimes when I get late night snacks, the kitchen, like the kitchen, like where the dog's food is facing,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, the
that,
kitchen wall that
Yeah,
is,
that wall.
is the same wall as our
I'll
room.
put my ear against it like this,
Why would you do
and
that?
I'll like stop breathing. I'll be like, and then I'll just hear someone scrolling on TikTok, and then you guys laughing at some joke. I'm like, and you know what? That's school nights, and you guys go to bed at like 9:30, and I'll be like up at like 11 getting a snack during school night.
Why are you getting up so late getting a snack?
And no, you guys are still up even though you guys go lay down really early.
Your mother is still up. Your mother's a night owl.
Yeah, and then I go to bed at like
Carter,
it takes me a long time to sleep, and then it's just bad. But
you need to not eavesdrop through the wall. That is not okay.
facing through that time when Chris passed away, it was after Chris passed away. I remember a lot of the moments where I feel like I could really use him at this time, because I feel like he was a very, very godly person. You know what I mean? He had a lot of wisdom for his age. He was 43.
Yeah.
43.
He was.
He had a lot of wisdom at his age, and I
He did.
really, and I was too blind to see that. I was in 6th grade, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
at that time, and I just feel like I wanted to ask him more questions. And before he passed away, I feel like me and him were getting like perfectly along, you know what I mean? Like things started clicking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like I could have just like taken in some of his lessons, and now I do appreciate all the times that he has done for me, especially his strictness, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I used to be really scared of the dark, so I do sleep with a nightlight on or TV, but that's just how I am now.
And sound or music. Or...
Yeah, I always go to bed with music, always. And
You were really afraid.
I was really scared, man. And this was when I had bunk beds, and I'd sleep on the top bunk because I was too scared to sleep on the bottom. And he took me to my room, and he turned off the lights, and me and him were just standing there for a good 5 minutes. He was like, "There's nothing in here. There's nothing to be scared of." And then pretty sure he told me a scripture of some sort, that God will always shine the light when it will be needed. Like when God created light, that's when darkness wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's why he created light, you know? And I feel like I could have taken in a lot of that more. And I saw this thing on TikTok, and it was from the Bible. Like, it was in the Bible, right? So it's not like someone that wrote it down, but it was in the Bible. I don't know what verse it is. It didn't have it in there, but it said the often, well, God will take away his most godly people, because he doesn't want them to he doesn't want them to happen before all the bad stuff comes,
To suffer.
Yeah, he doesn't want them to suffer, and when the rapture happens, he doesn't want them to go through that. So he takes all of his godly ones up to heaven, right? And I feel like I feel like that was Chris. I do feel like that was Chris a lot of times, because I didn't really get to see the side of him where he would talk a lot. You know what I mean? He was a really quiet person, nonchalant.
Yeah. But you're saying, so are you saying that...
God will often take away the godly ones before
so
their time.
So we're not godly because we're still here?
No, I'm not saying you guys are not godly.
Okay.
But God would... I don't know how to explain it. I'd have to do more reading the Bible, and around that verse especially, right? And
yeah.
I really, as soon as I saw that, I just thought of Chris immediately, right? And he had, I feel like he had a lot of wisdom, and he had a lot of good things to say, right?
Well,
He was a good man.
I think of it because I also had my Aunt Yvonne pass when she was, I think she was 40.
I wish I got to meet her.
And she was a very godly woman.
Yeah?
And so the way I view it is when God takes us early before our our time, like young, takes us young. And it's not all the time, because there's a lot of young people that die, in shootings or
Tragic.
That shouldn't have died. But his people, when he takes them young, it's because they've completed their purpose here on earth. That is what I believe. I don't know. What do you believe, babe? Like, they've completed their purpose, so they are able to go to heaven. And a lot of times he will take them so that they don't suffer what's coming, because if they were to stay, there is something a lot worse ahead. That happens too.
Yeah, I don't know. I think of it at times, because God doesn't, I don't think God brings bad stuff. Like, God doesn't take things away from you that are going to hurt you. God doesn't take things away from you that, like, in a way that's evil or not, through him. Does that make sense? And I think the way Chris passed and died, it was way too early. It was way too young. I think he still had a lot of life left in him that he could have done even more, but I don't know.
Honestly,
it's confusing.
It's one of those things that we will never know until we die ourselves and meet our maker. It's just one of those things.
It's kind of like that saying too, is only the good die young, that every time someone passes away that's dear to your heart and has impact in your life, it's like, why did God take them? Like, there was other people that God, but I don't think God brings death. I mean, he can take life, but I think that, I don't know.
Well, God gives and takes away.
I think it was just a natural thing
God
that happened.
God does give and take away, though.
Yeah.
A lot of times he takes things away, and I'm not saying like people, but he can take away a job, or he can take away your health, or whatever you're idolizing at the moment, to teach you a lesson, to grow you, and so that you can learn from it.
I guess the way I think about it is, like, I don't see God as I'm going to have Carter have a car accident today, or I'm going to let him get hit by a bus, or I'm going to let Jeremy, burn in a house or something. I mean, I don't think that comes from God.
But Satan could plan a car accident one day, and then God could deflect and put another car in front to make the impact less, or you know what I mean? Like, he can change the route. Like, it'll happen, but it's going to happen differently because he changed it some way. Does that make sense? Or no? Or is my mind just crazy?
No, I don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think
he
some
can
things
deflect Satan's plans for your life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know
Changes
he can
courses.
do that, but yeah.
And I feel like when me and Chris would come back from football practice, or we would be in the car together or something, that I would talk too much. I feel like I talked a lot.
You always talk a lot in the car.
I do, and sometimes it would make me feel like sad, because he would say something like, you know what I mean? But
he would say something like what?
Like, kind of like he wouldn't respond to me. Like, he wouldn't respond to me, because I would talk too much, I feel like. But when I see that, I feel like I should be more quiet now and just more like observe, you know what I mean? I feel like I observe, but I don't observe like as I should, I feel like. You know what I mean? I feel like I could observe a lot and learn a lot from different things around me, especially a lot of places, you know what I mean, such as school, especially. School, social media, you know?
Well, you still have a lot of time ahead of you to observe.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
do.
Well, I think when Chris passed, I thought I did a good job in not showing you my sadness and me crying, because I was trying to be strong and not, I didn't want you to feel like, I don't know, I didn't want to show you that side of my grief, because I didn't want you to, I don't even know. I guess I wanted you to see me as someone who's strong, who is trying to move forward, but there is a lot. Like I did go through a drinking phase, not as bad as like in the past, because it wasn't a lot, but it also was something that I let go of quickly. I don't feel like I stayed there, but I guess I just didn't. I like to go through things alone. I like to go through hard things by myself. And having you observe my struggle is probably something I should have done, because you learn from that too. You learn how to handle struggle and grief and how to move forward in life when tragedy happens. And I didn't allow you to witness all of that. So you just got like pieces.
Yeah.
And you probably just got the bad pieces, but you didn't see the times where I prayed in my room, I worshiped in my room, and I seeked God for the first like 8 to 10 months after he passed. Yes, there was some drinking, but I also seeked him. I seeked God, and I was in the Word, and I never felt closer to God in my life than in those months right after he passed. And because the Bible says that God is near to the brokenhearted, and he weeps with us. And I truly felt that, and I felt his presence, and I would just be in my room worshiping and praying. But I'd also be angry at the same time sometimes. And, it's just humans are full of all of these emotions. And sometimes you feel them all at once. And I don't like for people to see all of my emotions like that, especially those closest to me, like you and my family members. Like for some reason with strangers, I can. But with those closest to me,
I feel like I get that from you. And it comes from my dad. I've only seen my dad cry like twice.
Okay.
He's only cried twice, and he's cried in front of me. And I don't like showing my emotions either. Like I don't cry anymore. Last time I cried was,
You used to cry a lot.
I don't. After Chris had passed, I kind of feel like I really did stop crying after that. And because I remember Chris told me I was crying. I think it was like something with football, I'm pretty sure. And he was like, "Don't be a sissy. Crying's for sissies."
That sounds like something he would say.
Yeah, and I really took that in deeply. I felt like I probably shouldn't have, but I did. And every time I cry, like literally every time, or I'll try to, or I literally stop myself, and I just hear his voice like, "You're a sissy." That's like all I
You hear him in your head every time you want to cry.
And he's like, and I'll play over and over. He's like, "Don't be a sissy." I was like, "Don't be a sissy." So I don't cry, but I did cry recently after jiu-jitsu practice. That was a tough jiu-jitsu practice. You weren't there. And I got in the car with my dad. I was already getting a lecture from my dad about school and listening to my parents and doing my chores more often, and you know what I mean, get out of my room, because he hates when I'm in my room more here than I am over there. Like,
yeah, we know.
I know.
Yep.
We know.
And I was crying a lot. Like, I didn't talk to my dad at all. Like, I didn't say nothing to him. You know what I mean?
And you cried?
Yeah, that was a tough jiu-jitsu practice though, because we had boxing, and I had to go against Mateo. Mateo wanted to be partnered with me, and
You got punched.
we tied our ankles with each other, and you couldn't move. And I keep doing this, or I'll do this and try to dodge it, but I had like a kind of like a little like swollen right here, like when you get that like that frustration, like after like you get punched. That's just how I felt in the car.
Irritated.
And like I had like the little like kind of like bumps and stuff like that. Like after you throw up, like you get that red marks. I had a bunch of it all over my eye because you'd hit me all right here pretty bad. And
Wow.
I lost it in the car, and I didn't say nothing until I got out of the car, and I was just like, and my dad was like, it's okay to cry.
It is.
And because he saw myself like trying to stop crying like heavily, like I tried to stop crying like so heavily, and he would just be like, "It's okay to cry." I'm like, "It's not. it's not. He was like, who told you it's not okay? I was like, no one. Like,
Chris.
I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't say that, though.
But God did give us tears for a reason.
Yeah.
And you do know that tears provides healing. Every time you cry, you are healing something inside.
Yeah.
And God also collects our tears in heaven. He has jars of our tears in heaven that he collects. He knows every tear that we've ever dropped.
Yeah.
It says it in the Bible. I don't remember where, but it is in there.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And so he created tears for a purpose. So yes, it's okay to cry. There are times when people cry. People cry at funerals. People cry at weddings. People cry when they're in distress, when they're frustrated, when they're anxious, when they're going through something. And you had a hard practice. You got hit. You were probably pissed off. So if you want to cry to let that emotion out, it's okay. Now, you don't have to necessarily do it in front of everybody. But what did I always tell you? Cry in the shower.
I don't even cry in the shower.
I love crying in the shower.
I just...
I cry more in the shower than I pee in the shower. I'm serious.
Wow.
I do.
When's the last time you cried in the shower?
It's been a while. Maybe like a year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't cry in the
Yeah.
shower.
Emotions are important. I mean, I think as long as we're not allowing our emotions to run us and we're
Right.
crying for everything or we're getting angry about
You
everything.
control your emotions. They
Yeah.
don't control you.
I think there's just times. Like there's time at church like this for Easter service. I cried. The presence
Yeah.
of God was heavy,
The
and
Holy
it's something
Spirit moves
and just
you.
like, but I wasn't bawling crying, but it like I was moved by it. Like I felt that. And then
Like, how are you not going to cry if the Holy Spirit's moving your heart? Yeah.
But I haven't cried like for being hurt or angry or anything recently. I think the last time I had a really, really, like where I was super, super emotional and crying was Chris's wedding. Or not wedding. Chris's funeral. Chris's funeral. And then when Brother Carrasco passed away, I cried a little bit. Like
And you
I wasn't
cried when we started
bawling. I
dating.
wasn't like...
And you cried when we started dating.
But those are times
And you
that
cried when we started dating.
No, I did not.
Yes, you
One
did.
time. One
Two.
time.
And like with Chris, like also passing away, I do
Thank
remember
you.
a lot of people that loved him. And
Mm-hmm.
on our football team,
That was hard. That was a hard...
I remember on the football team, it was one of his best friends, his like main best friends. You know what I mean?
Ryan?
One of them. Yeah, definitely Ryan. Ryan was really cool though. That was like the one that I really knew. We would always go over for pizza night with Riker and them.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Riker and Skylar would always be outside like
Yeah.
doing like crazy stuff.
Well, this thing is we have a lot of good memories
Yeah.
and a lot of things that we learned.
But yeah, I remember we were at practice and it was during one of the summer practices, like the OTAs.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, we had pads on. But I remember Ryan, he put on his we all huddled up. It was the end of practice and we were here and he gave his speech, right, about like how today's practice went. And it was good practice. And I remember him just stepping back and he put on his sunglasses and he was definitely crying. You know what I mean? Because him and Chris were like best buds. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was like his best friend, and I saw him crying. I was just like, dang. And then
See?
And, like,
Men
all
do
of-
cry.
and all of our other teammates, like, yeah, they knew Coach Chris. We had a sticker on our back of our helmets that said Coach Chris, and we won the Super Bowl that year too.
I know.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and then no, I think it was the following year because Ryan had quit because I feel like because Riker stopped playing football and also I feel
don't
like because of
remember.
Chris. Yeah, but after I saw that I was just like dang, like I started crying a little bit. I feel like, and I was just like I saw him crying. I was like dang, I was like
Well,
he misses him a lot.
Yeah, we're human. So God created us to cry when we need to.
You guys used to always play Splendor, right? No, what's it called? That one game, it had like the gems.
Mm-mm.
The gems.
We didn't play that.
With Ryan and them at pizza night.
Oh.
Yeah, that game's. What was it called?
I hated that game.
I loved that game.
I can't remember the name of it right now. Are you talking about the farm one?
No.
What? No.
Beans?
No.
Okay. Well, I can't remember right. Oh, the one that they had the board and they made. Yeah. It's like Mancala kind of, but not.
Yeah, I loved
Yeah.
that game.
Well, Carter,
Interesting.
one last thing. As a young adult, what are 3 things that are most important to you?
It's still my last question. Dare you.
Great minds think alike, baby.
The 3, what can you say that again?
What
Sorry.
are 3 things that are most important to you as a young adult right now?
Currently right now?
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely
What's your number 1?
my mindset.
Okay. Number 2?
My mindset and the way I think about things. I think a lot. Like, as being an only child, I realize thinking is like the number 1 thing I do. Like, I'm constantly thinking about, like, when I'm in church, I'm like playing scenarios in my head, like mad scenarios. I'm sorry.
What kind of scenarios?
Your mother.
Doesn't matter. Like some sad scenarios. Like, I don't know why I think about it. I can't. I'm not gonna say what I think about.
Definitely your mother.
But like definitely my mindset. Because being an only child, I'm sure you were the same. Like your mind is like all over the place. Like you're like
No.
I don't know.
No.
Like yes. Like I
Not
don't know
me.
what to do sometimes. Like I'm in my room. I'm like
Sometimes those thoughts aren't from God. You can ask him to cast them away, take them
no,
away.
but they're not like bad thoughts. They're just me
Oh.
thinking about just everything. And then I remember past times and stories. But
Now I'm going to ask you, what are you thinking about? And
I'm
if
not
you
gonna
tell
tell
me
you.
nothing, I know you're lying. I'm going to be like, no, you said, and I got it on record that you're always thinking about something.
I am.
And I'm going to ask you. And if you say nothing, fail.
I am.
Well, those are good to share sometimes. Thoughts are
Yeah.
good to share
Sometimes
because there's
you don't have
different
to share-
perspectives people have.
Yeah, you don't have to share every thought. But sometimes it's good to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, my second thing. My second thing is definitely, I would say, like my walk with God. The more I think, the more I feel like I think about him every day. I really do. Like I even told my dad that like recently though,
That's
like
good.
like maybe like a month before our San Antonio trip, I started to, because TikTok as well. You know what I mean? A lot of that plays
My
a.
gosh, TikTok's running the world.
I know, but like it just like
He's
reminds.
mentioned it like only 4 billion times.
This is my second time. But
We're going to have a count, babe. Count them, okay, when you edit.
but it just like kind of reminds me, you know what I mean? Not even just that, but just every time I think about it, I think like I need to start reading the Bible. You know what I mean? I need to start reading the Bible. I need to start praying on a daily basis. And my number 1 thing is following the 10 Commandments, because I know those are his set of rules that you have to follow with like all of your times. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's one of the very, very first things that you should put first. No, I feel like it should be. It's the 10 Commandments, right?
Okay. So your first important thing was your mindset. Second was your walk with God. What's your third important thing to you?
Also, I want to get a poster of the 10 Commandments in my room, because I want to remind myself every day. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But a nice one.
Yes, I know.
You gotta show me to blend in with my room.
I know how to decorate, son.
Okay. My third thing,
That's important to you.
my family, 100%. Like I would love to put my friends in there, but it's just I have a lot of acquaintances, I would say, and my family, like my stepdad, my mom, my dad. You know what I mean? That's like my main family that I really talk to. I like putting my Uncle Brandon there too, and definitely my Nana and David. You know what I mean? Because those are the people that I really talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you're
Like
around more.
Yeah, my Uncle Brandon. I always FaceTime him. We always FaceTime when we
What
want to play
about
video games.
Kaylin and Cameron?
Them too, but
You FaceTime them.
I do. Them too, actually. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, my Uncle Brandon has a lot of good stuff to say. I really like what he has to say. You know what I mean? definitely most thing about like I would say like when I send him TikTok videos about like this guy on a podcast says something.
So I will say
But definitely my family, because that's my most important
that
thing. One of them, three. Number three.
well, I like it. I will say though that TikTok, because I know you've been watching a lot of that, and a lot of Christian TikTok, and a lot of stuff that comes up from the Bible on TikTok, but I would advise you to be careful, because a lot of people who post on TikTok, it's their opinion. Sometimes it doesn't come straight from the word. So you always, anytime you hear something, you see something, or you know, anytime you hear or see something that is of God, you need to pray about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that every time. Pray about it. Ask God if it is of you, and look it up in the Bible, because the Bible is, it tells us everything that we need to know. So if what you're hearing or seeing doesn't line up with the word of God, then you know it's not of God.
Yeah.
It has to line up with his word and what's in the Bible.
No, but I do watch that, you know what I mean? But there's one guy that I really do like believe, you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys heard of him. I only know his first. Cliff. His name's Cliff.
Nope, have not.
Man, I love the stuff that he has to say. Like, he's a older guy, and I really do love the stuff that he has to say. And I thought I saw him in San Antonio driving the boats, and I was just like, dude, like, I have so many questions for him.
You'll have to send us videos.
He's one of those people who, not one of them. I don't really see him. I feel like, but he goes to like a college, like the college places, and he'll answer questions about God. Right?
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He has like curly hair.
I don't
You know what I'm talking about? Tall.
Yeah.
And I really do love the stuff that he has to say. I really do. Like, and if a lot of people that ask questions, they don't let him answer it. He never gives a yes or no answer. He always explains. He explains from the Bible and what the Bible has to say about it, especially what it has to say about it.
As long as he's using the Bible to back it up.
Yeah. I really do like the things that he has to say. I have a lot of saved videos from him.
That's good.
Cool.
Those are the type of things you want to listen to, and guide and shape your thoughts and your mind. And
yeah.
But I think
I have one last question.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
It's okay.
Carter?
I'm used to it.
What do you think? How do you think I have done? Or how do you think I am as a parent? Like, how am I doing well? Like, in the 15 years I've been your mom.
You and dad.
I'm talking about me personally, your mother.
I know dad does this too. He's like, I feel like I'm not a good parent or something. He said that before.
How do you view me as a parent? Am I good? Am I bad? Like, rate me on a scale of 1 to 10. Give me all the details.
Well, from growing up, I feel like it was a rocky start. Right. Because
I was a new mom. I've never been a mom before.
I know, but I feel like it was a rocky start. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't really remember that much, but I do. I feel like I did. I hung out with you a lot more when I was younger because Dad had to go work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got older, more like elementary, like first, second grade, I asked my mom for homework, and and it just after that, like, I couldn't get the question right. You know what she does? She would make me cry because I couldn't get the question right.
Purpose.
And she would yell at me. She's like, Carter, like, are you kidding me? Like, really? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like,
it was one time, Carter. One time. Go ahead.
You know, but with the homework, I feel like after seeing that, I just didn't really ask my mom for homework and stuff like that. But as I was growing up,
really frustrated that day.
But as I was growing up and as I got older, she was more lenient on like me going outside to play a lot. You know what I mean? Kind of doing more things with friends. I feel like that's a normal thing. You know?
Yeah.
Well, you were getting older.
Yeah,
Things change as you get older.
now,
Get more freedom.
Yeah, I have a lot of freedom right now, and I
A
do
lot.
I do enjoy it. You know? Yeah, because I could literally go take the bike and I'll go everywhere. Like, I've been like way up there, man.
That's how you get the tires punctured.
The scooter.
He ruins
Yeah, but-
every bike. Every tire gets flat.
But as I grew up with you, you know, and the more I got closer to you, the more I learned more about you. Remember, I would always ask you stories like, tell me something I don't know about you. And you've told me a lot, you know.
You
And-
do that with
and
your dad too.
Yeah, no. But I know more stuff about him, I feel like, more than you.
Why?
Well, actually, no. I feel like Dad's a mysterious man.
What?
Like, I feel like there's just something about it. I don't know how to explain it. But, as I was growing up with you, right, and I liked your teachings were good, you know what I mean, to me, you know what I mean? Like, you taught me, like, doing the dishes, like, I would do the dishes a lot as I grew up, but
Laundry.
you did get me out of my habit of sleeping with you a lot. I started sleeping with them. I didn't. Still slept with my dad because we shared a one apartment bedroom for a while. But so I would sleep
He
with him.
stopped sleeping with me like around age 10.
Yeah, she would yell at me, scream at
I
me to get
tried,
out of the bed.
but I was trying since the age of 7.
Yeah,
So it took a while.
Yeah.
until after the moment where there was like cops outside our apartments searching for some guy in the other building.
The SWAT team.
Yeah, and then I totally lost it from there.
He didn't want to sleep alone after that.
No.
He was 7.
Yeah, it was horrible, man. My mom didn't even hear it. I woke you up. And
So, but how am I as a parent now?
you're good. You're a great parent, and I feel like all parents are learning as they get older. You know what I mean? By the choices that I do, and the choices that you give me, and the things that I also say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like the things that I share with you now, I feel like you kind of like grow on that, and how I act, especially how I act towards you, and I feel like I can act better towards you sometimes, and I feel like a little bit less yelling.
You're saying I should yell?
Is that
yes?
something you wish would be less?
Yes, 100%.
I don't think I yell that much, but
Do you think she yells a lot, Jeremy?
I think I have improved
Oh, tremendously.
because
That's good.
I mean you're older
Tremendously
now.
good. Yeah.
So it's just different. But you know my upbringing and how
Yeah.
there was lots of yelling in my house. So I guess it's just one of those things that carries on.
I need to join in. I need to start yelling more.
No, you don't.
Please don't.
I feel like I'm missing out. Like I don't feel like I'm part of the expression
No.
that's coming.
But I will say that,
I'll work on
And
that.
you're a great parent right now. You really are. And
thank you.
You are. You're nothing bad. You don't give me any really bad examples.
There is.
You let me try things. You know what I mean? So.
Well,
like
there's consequences to your actions, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you do what you're supposed to do, go to school, get
And
good
responsible.
grades, take care of your chores, and you're responsible, then you do get more freedom.
Yeah.
You haven't started driving yet. You will this coming
August.
fall, but you don't get access to freedom like driving and hanging out with your friends. Like today, your friend who drives picked you up and you guys went thrifting. You don't get access to all that.
Thrifted, by the way.
Thrift fit, y'all. Thrift fit on Carter today. You don't get access to all that without being a good kid, without being responsible and mature. The moment you stop showing us that you can't own your responsibilities, that you're not mature, that you're making poor decisions, then that stuff goes away.
Yeah.
And you know that there's consequences to your actions. And I think you've learned that throughout the years.
Dad tells me every time, like, I couldn't tell you. He gives me a lot of pep talks, a lot of lectures in the car every time. You know what I mean? Like, and I sit on it when I'm in the car. I'm just, like, looking out the window, like, like, when is this gonna end? And there's my mindset, my thinking.
But you're going to remember it one day.
But yeah, and then
Yeah.
after I get out the car, I'm at school, I'm like in class, bored than ever. I'm just like, I gotta appreciate that. You know what I mean? I really do, because you don't understand how many pep talks that gives me, like an insane amount.
And what do I tell you? I could die tomorrow, Critter.
I know.
I tell you that all the time. I'm like, really? You're going to treat me like that today?
Okay.
Well, everyone, that concludes today's episode. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that hearing from a teenager's perspective on things he's gone through in life is something that is relatable, or that maybe your teenager can relate to.
Yep. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe, like,
Yes.
share if this is something that helped you out today or encouraged you in any way. Share it with someone. You know, we always come to you with something new. We always want to remind you we're not professionals. We're not trying to give you professional advice or help, but we want to encourage you. Our whole goal is to be transparent with you,
Yes.
to share ways in our lives that are effective for us as a family, as a husband, as a wife, and to be able to share that openly with you guys. And there's many ways to get to one point, right? And this
Yes.
is one way that we get to our points. So when we go through difficult times or we have issues, we find ways to resolve them, and we do it together.
That's right.
Life's too short to not do something that you want to do.
That's right.
So start your own podcast.
What? What?
Or whatever it is your dream is.
Well, thank you, everybody, once again for joining us.
Thank you so much for
We-
tuning in to Turning the Page with
Jer.
Angel. We'll see you next time.
Bye.